taking a look at kind of the whole perspective of America, you really do come from a third-party perspective. You didn't grow up here, but you're embedded here now. I mean,
I've spent half my life.
You're in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
A little perspective, maybe even a theological perspective on what you're seeing in America today.
Yeah. Os Guinness calls America a cut flower society, which means we still have a little color in the flower, but it's been severed from its root. And I think that's true. And I think there's a real cultural lament. People they're saddened by what America's become. They look at our political candidates, I think on both sides, and they're definitely uneasy, and they wondered kind of how we got here. And I've been reflecting on Isaiah chapter 6. It's a famous passage where Isaiah receives his prophetic call. But it starts with the phrase, in the year that King Uzziah died. And I'd realized I'd never studied King Uzziah, and King Uzziah was one of the favorite kings that the people of Judah had. He reigned for over 50 years. He followed God, and he did two things well. He protected them, so he was a military leader. He conquered their enemies around him. He invented military technologies. There was safety, and he provided for them. It says Uzziah was a man who loved the soil. He cared about agriculture. And what people want is protection and provision. That's what they want from their leaders. At the end of his life, he got proud, and he went into the temple to offer incense, and God struck him with leprosy in the face, and he had to hide in shame for the rest of his life. And he was a beloved king who got prideful, and everybody was wondering what's going to happen next, who's going to be our leader. And in the midst of that, Isaiah gets a prophetic call where he sees not just the temple, but he sees the Lord high and exalted, and God elevates his vision above the political sphere to the kingdom of God. And marked by this vision of the kingdom of God, he begins to see, okay, this is really what's happening behind the scenes. It doesn't matter about the political leader. God is still on the throne. His kingdom is still advancing. And then he has his vision of personal humility, where he says, woe am I, I'm undone. And then he says, send me. So I think our response should be not to focus on who our political leaders are and to be in fear about that, to lift our eyes and see a vision of God, that he is glorious, the whole earth is full of his glory, the train of his robe fills the temple. That we would have personal humility, stop comparing ourselves to others. People ask me all the time, what's happened with sin? And I say, here's what's happened with sin in our generation. Sin's moved from a criminal court to a civil court. So instead of measuring ourselves before God, we're just comparing ourselves with others. But Isaiah sees God and he says, I'm undone. And we need that humility. You will always be judgmental if you compare yourself to others. But when you get a vision of God, it produces humility. And then out of that humility, he's like, I'm ready to tell people the good news that God's coming. So what I wish people in America would see is they would look past the political dysfunction, get a true vision of God, have a desire for personal humility, and be agents of his kingdom sent into the world. If we'd focus on that, we'd be a way healthier church, and I think Christians would have more integrity.
Are you running for president?
I am running for president. I can't because I wasn't born here. You got to be born here on national soil, man. You know the controversy.
Well,
was he born here?
Well, then you could open it up again.
Yeah. I'm a churchman. This is my world. I love just being a pastor and serving God's people.